I synchronize, there are things, yeah, but as you say, it's very entertaining and certainly gets you thinking. You know, that's
It does.
a big
I mean,
one.
there
Yeah.
are some things I think, oh, maybe, but the overall tone of it is, for me, spot on.
Mm,
There's a few details that probably don't really matter that much, you know. Mm.
yeah. I
Yeah,
wonder. I wonder if I wonder about his version of enlightenment, or at least the way he describes it. You know, it kind of
yeah,
yeah.
that's one of the sticking points for me. He makes this declaration, yes, I'm enlightened, and he said, I know that's grammatically wrong, but it's like he's arrived, and I don't. That doesn't really sit with me, because that's what kept me seeking. Oh,
Mm,
he's got it. And he said, but I can't describe it. So what's the point?
mm, mm.
Mm, yeah, I don't feel that way. And the more I look at it, as I said recently, the more it's about becoming fully human, maturing, and a, a, a being, a human being, yes, but like rather than any of the mystical stuff. Hey, Rod.
Let's
Bye,
say
mate.
a
All right.
human
Sorry.
a human pause being.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that fits, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, human pause being. Yep.
I don't know if there's a comma there. A human being. I want to say just being, but
No, that kind of.
that's wrong too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to look at the grammarians or whatever they are.
Mm.
How are you? You good with syntax and that sort of thing, right?
So hold on, I'm having a bit of odd technical problems
Oh,
here. I
sorry.
can't get
Don't
it.
don't worry. It's
All
not
right,
really.
okay.
Yeah.
If you just give me the background, I've got it under control now. Right. So what was the what was the question again?
It
What?
wasn't. It wasn't really a question. But How would you write? What would this? What syntax would you use to say? Well, I'm just a human being.
Um, well, that sounds perfectly okay to me.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just a human
how would
being.
you write that? Would
I'm,
you
ju-
write that?
I'm just a human being. Well,
No, yes, just is not the right word, is it? But just say human being. I mean, we could invert it and say being human, but that's different, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Hi, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Well,
I was about to say good morning, but no, it's not morning for everybody.
Yeah, 10
Hello.
p.m. here. Yeah.
he was a bit disorganized here. What's happened to my camera? It's gone all wonky.
Yeah, I can see you okay.
Yeah. It's just, I think what happens is my wife comes in here and has a cleanup and moves everything around.
I know that one.
Yeah, I know that too. I
Yeah.
can't find anything.
Okay.
Hmm. Are you in the States, Jeremy?
Yes, Minnesota.
Mm,
5
Anton's,
a.m.
sorry,
5 a.m.
5 a.m. Yeah, that's why it's a bit dark. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jan.
Yeah. So who breaks first? Um, so I haven't been for a couple of weeks. And actually I do feel pretty off the rails. It's funny that, isn't it? I'd sort of felt that the instruction was something to do with, oh, just let it all cook. But I think there has to be, for me, I suppose I'm a bit confused about this seeking word. And I just do feel that there has to be some sort of continuity of purpose. There has to be, yeah, uh, I don't know. If I'm sort of just being in this sort of weird way that we, you know, in the various ways we can just be, I do, I do have a strong, I do really notice that there is a sort of movement to think. There's sort of instructions coming about, what to do when the thought's there and you catch it and just before you catch and so on. But there is actually some sort of, for me, movement towards thinking, which must presumably be a movement away from something else, from some aspect of something simpler about just some other simpler quality of, I don't know, just being and exploring that without thinking about it.
Mm. Yeah. Do you feel, Kate, that there's there's something to reach, something to get to, or do you feel there's something missing? They're different, those things, but yeah, what resonates with you?
Well, it's easy to talk about, there's something to seek, and I'm pretty sure it's not there. I sort of feel that there is that, but I don't think that's what I'm talking about. I think there are all these sorts of warnings about not seeking, and underneath that there seems to be some other sort of obstacle which is more to do with, I don't know, habits of mind or something,
Mm.
which just has this, well, for me, a quite strong habit to go off into thinking. And is that what you mean by identification? I've never quite got the hang of that word,
Yeah,
identification.
yeah, that's a big one. So do you get that you're not you? Well, I can really only talk for me, and that
Mm.
is if I bring awareness to something, there's always thinking.
Yeah.
So the it's not appropriate to consider that we can be without thoughts.
Mm.
You might as well cut your arm off. You can't be
Mm.
without your arm any more than you can be without thoughts. But
Mm.
it's your relationship to the thoughts that we're talking about. So I wrote a story today about it actually. If you were to say, I thought that, not just the words, but if there's an ownership of those thoughts, if I was to caricaturize it and say, I thought that, right, then you can see quite clearly that there's identification. There's with the thoughts.
Okay.
The thoughts are mine, and even go as far as to say the thoughts are me. Yeah. So if I was to change the wording and say thinking happened about that, it's like I'm just describing something, like I'm describing, oh, there's a breeze here. I can feel a breeze on my face. Well, that's a lovely cool breeze or whatever. Right? Thoughts are just there. Thoughts are just happening. What they're about is really not any different to, say, seeing. I see a tree. Or I could say the words. It's not appropriate socially to talk like this, but I could say, oh, seeing a tree happened. That's a good description of an objective, simply describing a happening. But there's not identification with it when I put it that way. But when I say I saw a tree, it was me that did the seeing. The seeing is me. We're pushing it a bit. You can see that there's identification with it. So seeking is an interesting one. So seeking would suggest we're looking for something.
Mm.
Now, even if that something is unknown, if it's mysterious and not definable, there still can be this feeling of something missing here, that I'm looking for something to fill it, to fill an existential hole or some to change the way I feel. So if we invert the seeking thing, we can say things are not the way they should be. We want them to be different. I want them to be different. I want my experiencing to be different. I want to be more contented, more equanimous, more whatever, make it up. So all of these things are really about the relationship to them, not about the things themselves.
So just to clarify in my very slow head, so the tree, so I don't see a tree, neurophysiologically, I don't see a tree. I just see some lines and color. My training calls it a tree, which is tangled up with me. So in that sense, there is an entity that calls it a tree. And then are we saying then that myself is, so basically that things are thoughts in the sense that that labels are thoughts.
Yeah, okay.
And therefore that me is a thought. Is that what you're saying? Is that what the identification is?
Twice in that you mentioned a logical conclusion, and therefore you said, and therefore, right. If we consider a way of thinking about, he says with amusement, thinking about thinking, it's appropriate to consider that thinking is just a sixth sense. So when you see, when you hear, when you smell, when you taste, when you feel, and when you think, there's a what's in common with all of those things is a response to those things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can bring the same flavor of a response to thinking as you do to seeing or hearing, you kind of get it. That's it. You've got the right relationship to thinking. But when you say, my thoughts are more important than somebody else's thoughts, or they have more value because they're mine, or because I am doing the seeing, it's not just an objective description of something, it is something that I own. Then we're locked up we're kind of caged again by our relationship to those things. So what comes to mind from what you said here is the the trap of logical assumptions are not descriptions in any objective sense.
Yeah, that's true.
But you said the trap of seeking, and that brought up another thought here, that was that it's not appropriate for you to say, if I drop seeking, something happens, or I'm there, or I'm on the road, or anything like that. It's appropriate to say that seeking will drop when seeking drops. Seeking will stop happening when you feel disidentified, when there's nothing to find, there's nothing, no hole to fill. But it's also appropriate to consider that this isn't going to be a switch that gets turned on and it will be forever like that. It's a learning process. We are reconfiguring the way our brain works. I mean, that's also a story, but neuropsychologically, that's what happens. We we stop using old neural pathways and we create new neural pathways in the brain. And in fact, what we do is we move a whole lot of our activity from left brain to right brain, where we don't have the same kind of judgments that we do normally speaking. We're not full of opinions. We don't feel like we know things. From the right brain, we're just, it's purely descriptive and probably quite emotional too. Yeah. So when you feel like something's not right, or something's not the way you want it to be, or something's not the way it should be, or something should be different, that's not wrong. That's going to happen until it doesn't. And in fact, it's a good thing in that it shows you that what does it show you? It shows you that you're still seeking. And it's not the intention to drop seeking. It's the intention to recognize that seeking is no longer there when we don't do it anymore. And it's not because everything is perfect, or it's not because we're fully cooked or we're done. I mean, it might be in the literature. It's certainly not been my experience. But I don't care about the bits that are not cooked.
Mm.
They're just there. Well, they're not there until they are there. Yeah. So the relationship with thought is interesting, and it may be appropriate for you to look for the feeling of ownership when that happens. So if thoughts are, let's say they have a certain quality about them, you might call it sticky or something. I don't know how you would say, but there's a certain quality about thoughts that will lead to a feeling of ownership, or a feeling of belonging, or a feeling of it's me. And if that happens, that feeling is your portal into what's behind it. So this is not a case of right or wrong. It's definitely not a case of, oh, we have this wrong stuff and we've got to fix it. There can't be anything wrong. Whatever comes up is telling you something. It's an opportunity to learn or to reconfigure the brain, if you think of it that way. And it's much more likely to happen in a multitude of little movements than one big one. I mean, the one big one is always celebrated. They're the ones that you see on YouTube and people write about and gurus talk about and so on. But the reality is that for most of us, it happens in little bits and pieces all the time. So we don't need to. It's good value to celebrate when one of those little shifts happens. And the moment you go, oh, okay, one has happened, a little epiphany, will show you. And so recognizing those, and that can be a bit tricky, recognizing them on a normal day, that they can happen multiple times on a day. And because it's usually a direct experience, we don't narrate about it because they're little and they're seemingly ordinary. We tend to not remember them. We don't keep them and don't put them in a bag where we add them up into something significant. And so they're easy to miss. And you've had them. I know you've had them.
That's so interesting. Several interesting things. One is thoughts as being like a sixth sense, fine, And just what you were talking about, that feeling is that I don't know, when you get the breeze on your face, and then when I elaborate it, good, bad, wind from the north, make a whole story about it. And you're absolutely right. There is a feel, and that's sort of corralling it somehow, that is active, for want of a better word, coming from me, just creating these new thoughts. And they do have they do have that feeling, which is a sort of graspy feeling about them. That's so true. How interesting.
The thing to do is simply notice them. You don't need to change them. You don't need to do anything about it. But noticing them will change. They will change because you notice. It takes
Those are the things I remember, and then I hit myself.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you remember, not the other ones, not the the delightful ones or the aha one. No. It's the yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. That's great.
Well, thank you. Thank you for getting something out of that ramble. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Where are you up to with this stuff, Jayan?
Hi, Vince. Hello, everyone. It's just very, very hard to say where am I at. There's quite a bit of noticing happening, like you describe in your stories and in your talks. And yeah, so there are these sensations which I don't even know the names sometimes, thoughts, and also noticing the dynamics of a separate entity, how it's created. There is a lot of intensity in the body. Right now, I can feel it in my chest and the lower jaw and whole of my head. Yeah, sometimes I tend to label it as fear, but I don't know what it is. Changes and shifts and moves every time. uh, and life just goes on. There is nothing particular to report in that sense. There was a time I tried to be a good person, a successful person, and all that stuff collapsed, and uh, it just it's just going on. Nothing great to say about it.
Hmm. So tell me about that intense sensations. Would you describe that as, or how would you describe that?
I can't describe them because it's changing all the time. It's moving from one place to the other. Sometimes it's in the throat, sometimes it's in the chest, sometimes it moves up into the forehead and this area. It's pulsating and it's moving, and sometimes it's very intense, sometimes very light, but it's almost always there.
Hmm.
I listened to one of your videos, and you mentioned about this something in the chest area that wants to burst out, and that's this aliveness. And I kind of listened to these sensations. I said, yeah, that seems right. Something like that.
Hmm.
So most of the time, it's unpleasant and painful too. Sleepless nights.
Unpleasant. Yeah.
Yeah, many times it's unpleasant, but it transforms into tickling sensations and like bubbles bursting and stuff like that. It's very
Hmm.
hard to describe. I don't have the English skills to
Yeah.
talk about it.
So indulge in a fantasy for me and tell me if it makes any sense. If I ask you, what do you think it's trying to tell you?
There are a lot of thoughts that comes with it, but now I have got some distance between those thoughts. In the sense, I just see them as thoughts most of the time. And they are about my past or the future or the guilt and the blame and all the stuff that I have taken seriously for a long time. But what is that sensation trying to tell me? I don't really know without going into thoughts.
Hmm. Would you say have you experienced stories about what it might be about?
I think I might have some subtle hidden expectations about them, that they might expand into something or become something else or something of that nature, which is not very conscious. Yet I think there are some expectations about it. Of course, I have expectations about fear because I've read about these horrible stories of awakening and dark night of the soul and stuff like that. So um, I have those I have those fears as well. When am I going to hit that and become totally dysfunctional with fear and all that stuff? Those thoughts also come up, but I really don't know what these sensations are trying to tell me in that sense.
Do they are they related to the idea of Dark Knight?
It feels like if I put pressure on myself and say something about it, it's like asking me to let go and just be very simple and just know that this is it. It's something like that. It's not about anything, it's about this moment itself. That's how I
Yes,
feel
yes,
about
yep, yeah. So when you talk about it's asking you, or maybe the idea of letting go, it sounds like you're saying that you recognize there is a holding on happening. or that you might describe it that as a resistance to letting go, would you?
I think so. I notice my practiced behaviors that I cannot change voluntarily, like wanting to hide or not being able to say, or fearing I might hurt other people, and so on and so forth. For example, if I say, if I if I speak truthfully to my parents who are in their 80s and I'm looking after them, their health and stuff, if I tell them exactly how I feel, it might hurt them.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I try to see them as less as I can. So from that point of view, I feel that I'm not taking a risk and being maybe trying to hide or being cautious. So it could be it could be those energies, I think, that's trying to tell me.
Hmm. I get that. Yeah. I see a lot of value in authenticity, but I would define authenticity as primarily you being authentic with yourself. Obviously, you don't want to hurt your parents. You don't want to hurt anybody. But if the inclination to be honest also has a demand that you speak it out loud, that's a different story, isn't it? That's something quite different to
Yes, yes,
you simply being honest with yourself.
yeah. I did not have, when I look at the instances in my life in the past, I didn't have the skills to be able to deal with situations. Either I get overwhelmed or overreact and stuff like that. But as I stay with these sensations, I feel like I'm gaining more skills to deal with situations which I would have, um, that would have frightened me. I am now able to enter those situations and
Yeah.
see what happens, and and that has been very helpful. So I think I also have been authentic and honest to myself, not telling, not lying to myself,
Good, good, good.
and
Now,
being.
what about the next step? And that is, do you judge yourself for that?
Even though I tried to control my life. Nothing has worked so far. Everything went 180-degree opposite to what I wanted myself to be seen as or what I thought I am. So now I don't believe in, I don't have any hope of being able to control the next moment. So these days I take a risk and go into the situation when there's a nudge to it, and if there's a pull of the mind to get something, an agenda based stuff, then I just stay with these sensations and don't move.
Excellent. Yes.
So even though I did not want to hurt my parents, I did hurt my parents because I burst out and I said things, but said things that I thought I should not say, but nothing happened. No one was hurt, no one complained, nothing happened. They said, "What the hell? I'm living in this fantasy of fear, and most of the things are not even happening."
Yes.
And I also see these dynamics of the other. I was looking at, noticing, what is this, what is this other person? And I see, I pick I pick bits and pieces of the visual field. I pick sounds, associate them, and create another so that a me can exist here. So my father, my mother, my wife, daughter, everybody is the other that I treat as probably doesn't exist as other. So then, what is this point of thinking about hurting somebody or helping somebody even? No point at all. So I'm noticing that as well. It's kind of meaningless to think about these things. Just do what needs to be done.
Mm, good stuff. Yes. Yeah. I like what I hear. I like, yeah, where you're at. That's good stuff. So what's left? Where do you want to go?
No idea. Absolutely no idea whether I've lost all the motivation to know it, or um, I don't really know. And I have no way of knowing. If I look closely at my experience, it's moving so fast, it's shifting, changing, and it can't be described even. So how am I going to say anything about the next moment? Because even this moment is not able to explain it, not able to label it, even though thoughts want to do it and still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect. I love it. Yeah. But your body is telling you something.
Yeah.
Can you get that? That's enough. It's something. We don't have to know what it is. We just have to know that there's something that your body is telling you, and be patient.
Yeah. I have all the fantasies of what's going to happen, either this way or that way. One time the mind will talk about the great stuff that might happen. The next moment, when I see them as thoughts, it switches to the other extreme and talks about the horrible things. So I just don't know what to think about those thoughts. And so, yeah, exactly like you said, just live moment by moment, even though all these fears are coming up. Would I become completely dysfunctional and not be able to do anything for my family? Um, or, yeah, those kind of fears happen.
Yeah. So
Or some,
where did you get those ideas from?
I think it's, I overread and um, overanalyzed all these awakening enlightenment stuff, and the 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 stories that get attention are either the worst stories or the best stories, and I
Yes.
think they are very rare, and they are not even honest to that's my feel. They are not even honest, and the mind is quick to catch on some of those um, very fancy words and terms, and just goes behind it and even stores it as something that I want. So the stories of dark nights, the dark night of the soul, and how relationship broke apart, and how people got mad and insane through awakening or kundalini and all that stuff. I kind of heard and read a lot of interviews on YouTube and some books, and it's somehow got registered, and those fears are coming from that, I think.
Mm.
They might be true, but at this point, I have no way of knowing it.
Yeah, of course, yes. And of course, as humans, we're so varied that it certainly would be true for some people, but it all would also be transitional. So who knows? I've been around a lot of people waking up over the years, over the last 14 years, lots and lots of people. I have not come across maybe two people in that whole time that have had an experience of a dark night of the soul. And those people were probably, I hesitate to use the word depressed, but something along those lines, that the propensity was already there for that
Mm.
before they got into this stuff as a way of trying to fix that.
Mm.
That's quite quite legitimate, I think. But at the same time, yeah, it's certainly not something I would worry about uh, under normal circumstances. We could speculate. We could build a story that it's those ideas that create resistance in you, and that's where these physical sensations are coming from.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I can say I lost everything that I valued, that I believed I valued, including career, all the bookshelves after bookshelves that I was so proud of that I read, all my pride about being spiritual, being a nice husband or a good son or a successful person, all that stuff gone.
Yes.
And now, and I try to climb back up to find a job or to be a nice person to justify, and nothing worked. Nothing worked at all. Um, so maybe these sensations are asking me to become a nobody. And it's very hard to be nobody because it feels like um, having no use at all to be here. It's to, yeah.
It's
So maybe
interesting.
that's,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
And I
like when
have
you
been
said
brought
to
up in, sorry,
you go.
I have been brought up in a society where, I mean, most societies might be like that, that if um, you deserve to exist only if you are productive and if you produce something and if you show a face to the world as successful, and or at least if you serve somebody, help somebody, sacrifice something. So I've been brought up in those kind of context, and so it's it was a struggle to let go and say yes, I'm useless, and it's okay.
Hmm.
Everything gone, and nothing can be recovered back. So it's fine.
Yeah. There's a huge irony here, and that is that when you become a nobody, when you become totally useless, you'll be somebody that's useful.
Yes, you are
I know
right.
that sounds paradoxical, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's true. It's when you and you know what I'm saying here, when you pretend to be somebody, when you pretend to be acceptable, to fit into others' ideas of who you should be, that's when you're really useless.
Yeah, to be somebody and fit other people's idea is such a miserable life, which I led. I mean, I was in that. But now I'm not saying I got anywhere, but I'm able to see that at least a little
Yes.
bit here and there, that how I'm trying to match other people's expectations when I don't even know whether there is another person or a me or expectation or what they are. I have no clue of any of those things, and I will
Mm.
never be able to figure that out.
Good. Excellent. It's not possible to figure that out.
Yeah, it's
We
not
can only
possible
have
at all.
stories about it, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And see, paradox again. I want to say it sounds to me like you have got somewhere, but that's nowhere.
Yes,
Yeah. That's good.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's nowhere. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think, Anton? What's your feeling about Jayan?
Uh, First of all, I really enjoyed listening to you. You are sharing really authentically, and it seems that you are pretty awakened in a way of like seeing everything as it is. And uh, about the sensation, I can say that the sensations are the dark night of the soul. Like from what I hear, it's just that it's not as you read it, it's as it is in your situation. And maybe if other people would experience the same thing that you are experiencing, they would lie and cannot move. You don't know, because on different level of I don't know how to say it, consciousness, you experience things in a different ways. And sometimes when someone in a lower, if I can say that way, consciousness sees something that he is not completely ready to see, he like dark night of the soul in the dramatic ways, yeah. But usually it's sensations that we experience, and sometimes it's intense, but we know that those are just sensations. And I see it as identity dying. It moves, it wants to still have control, still to please, maybe still, but it's not on the outside level, it's on the inside level. You are aware enough to not act on it, and you even not understand what it is. But it's like identity that is still there, and it's doesn't know what to do. And sometimes it can open, and then can be like ways of fear, or you can cry. And sometimes it's just inside, and it's moving from here to there, and like this, it's exhausting its energy. And sometimes it can be like a release, that you feel that it's open, and you feel like maybe fear, terror moving inside. But I do think that you have no reason to be afraid of it, because it sounds to me that even if it will decide to open, you will be able to just experiencing it and not be dramatic about it. Maybe some drama for for a couple minutes, and then you see it's just sensations. So you have nothing really to fear. And maybe if you will less be afraid of what it can become to, it will feel more safe, to more open to you. And then you will maybe experiencing it in a more releasing way, like tears, like fear, like shame. It can be, but it have to feel safe, like that you are loving it, that you are here for it. It's like it's like children's inside energies. But I really loved listening to you, and I had epiphanies also from things that Vince was saying to you. I had my own small enlightenments, if I can say.
These meetings um, have been extremely impactful to me. And when you speak, Vince or Anton, I love Anton speaking. have watched a few videos. It's the first time I could attend an online meeting, but something feels right to me. And it's not that I know it, but something feels right. And what I tend to do, I notice doing is I just trust it. I trust that's the case. And I try to find evidence for those things in my day-to-day experience. And that has been extremely like, what are really thoughts? Or how is a I sense of I created? What are sensations? So some of those things strikes a chord with me, and then I trust it fully, and I explore my experience to see proof that it is right, and that has really helped me. So I'm very grateful for this space, and everyone who attends these meetings are very, very valuable.
Yes, yes. And be grateful to yourself as well, because you're contributing to this space to be that way. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm. I'm glad you're here. Very welcome.
Thank
Mm.
you.
I just want to circle back to you, Kate, for a moment, because you said something that I wanted to respond to, but it wasn't appropriate at the time, and that was you said something about who cracks first
Yeah.
when that silence was happening. Silences are really interesting and extremely potent. You know what especially
Mm.
when the mind does not like silence, so it gets very busy when there's silence usually, and so it's really interesting. But it it wasn't there was, of course, there was an element of somebody might speak, but also it's a great opportunity to simply watch the internal processes when that's happening. Yeah. So I wasn't really waiting for someone to crack, but I was waiting for someone to talk or not. It didn't matter. Yeah. So there was no competition about it, if you know what I mean.
That's so interesting because uh, what I intuited that everybody else was feeling, which would be everyone was feeling what I would be feeling, which was, God, I'd like a little bit of airtime now. You know, can it be me?
Mm,
And so I felt I was holding back, and that's quite pervasive for me. I was letting other people have a chance, that sort of thing.
mm. Yeah.
And
These are all the processes that are interesting when they happen, eh?
mm, mm. I've really appreciated this session. Thank you, Jan. I find you completely inspiring. This whole business about not wanting to disappoint people and expected behaviors and so on. It all has to be negotiated somehow. um, and the notion that you can be authentic to yourself, the primary thing is to be authentic to yourself, seems really helpful. Whatever else happens. And all this second guessing. Maybe nobody else wanted to talk, and here was I second guessing by about a whole screen full of people,
Yeah.
none of whom I know, and that held me back. And lucky me.
Mm. And we do that all the time with other people. We have expectations that we are responding to, even when we're not aware of that often.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Something I'd love to talk about, or I'd love to have a conversation about is it seems to me that I'm just a response bunny. I just respond to whatever is in front of me all the time. That's what's going on. If it's another person, or if it's a situation, or it's whatever life is asking for or offering, I'm just respond to that. It's like, and big part of it often is the mystery of it. It's I'm very aware that I not only do I not know what's going on inside myself at a deep level, I only know what comes to the surface, but I've got no idea what goes on inside other people. But I do have expectations. I do have ideas about them, but they're not sacrosanct. So they there's always the appendage that says or not. I could be wrong. So it's like nothing for sure. And we do what Jayan said. We have expectations about how somebody might react, only to find that they don't at all when we do when we say or do what comes up. But of course, a lot of it is how we say it or do it too. So it's I see school when we send our kids to school, on the surface we're sending them to learn how to read and write, etc. Right? But the reality is that's almost a side effect to them learning to be social citizens. And so we grow up with this cage of how we should be, how we want to be seen by others, is when we start to take on that policing role for ourselves, instead of listening to what our parents say or what our teachers say or what our peer group says. We start to do it to ourselves. And what this is about doesn't mean that we discard that. It simply means that we're not compelled to behave in a certain way. But we still know that being polite is appropriate. We still know that being considerate is a good way to be. But we're not compelled to be that way. But we will still do it. So it comes from a different place for a different reason than if we when we're lost in the dream, we are compelled. We can feel shame or we can feel guilt if we don't behave the way society says we should behave. Now we might still do it, but it's not because we have to. It's just because we recognize the consequences of not doing it. Well, that went down like a lead balloon, didn't it?
Well, it's difficult stuff. I think John, the first thing that really caught my attention in what he was saying was da 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 da, and so I've rather avoided seeing my parents, rather than, the implication being that, I'm meant to have a much stronger responsibility, connection, relationship with certain people compared to other people, whereas Vince is, in his sort of reaction bunny, treats treats encounters with people with just equanimity, whoever they are, and that's that's come with whatever's happened. But at the same time, when I very first arrived in this meeting, which was a little bit late, there was some joke about wives tidying stuff up, and everybody giggled. And here am I, a wife, and I thought, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Nobody tidies me up. So I don't know. That's probably irrelevant, but
Are you really a wife?
not really. No, not really. I am a wife, and my husband is elsewhere at the moment. So no, I'm not a wife. And actually, I have a long heritage of not really being a wife. We didn't even get married until the children left home, and that was for other reasons. So I'm not a really professional wife. I don't think so. Never have
It's
been.
beautiful to see it sometimes, and it happens to me. I think it's happened to all of us sometimes, and that the reaction that we have is coming from an identity, some kind, and it's beautiful to see it, like that someone said something, and there is a reaction, how it should be, and it's me thinking that I am an engineer, I'm a wife, I'm a kid, I'm a good citizen, I'm that. So the reaction is not ours, really. The reactions is from this idea of what I am. And what I am have no reactions. It have responses, natural responses, without sense of I have to, I need to. It's just happening. Everything that the the true I is performing, it's not performing, it's happening. But if there is a sense that I am acting right now, I am responding, it's always an identity. This is what I see in me, for example.
So how long did it take you to unmuddle that?
In time?
Well, help me out.
I'm still experiencing this, as I say. But it's just that it's more clear when it happens from why it happens, and it's clear when it's not happening, when it's just happening, like when I'm not someone that is, and it's gradual, and it's hard to say. It's really hard to explain it in time, because it's happening like this. It's it's years of meditation, of inquiry, but I cannot really say that it's because of this, because sometimes life situations are more transforming than the practice that we think we do. So it's life. It's hard really to say. And in the end, it's not the stuff that I did, because it's always here, and it's just becoming more obvious that it's always here, but it's always was here. So I did not really act upon it. It's just that with time, it's more and more obvious, and the acting upon it is less and less. It's like, this is how it seems to be. Unexplainable, really, in words.
One of the things that you go.
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Okay. One thing about what you said earlier on how we behave with people, it's interesting, because maybe it will change, but at some point, I became quite radical about it. Like, if I'm to let, if life would want me to go and, I don't know, kill somebody, I will let it happen. It's like it radical. I am not choosing. I will not ever choose anything. And I don't know what is right and what is wrong. So how can I choose? But if there is, like, it can be tricky if identity is still here, and it's still here on the level of the physicality, yeah, for me. But at some point, I feel that I don't have a choice anymore. And if I have a feeling that I have, I'm not choosing it as well. And I will prefer to stay in that place without a choice. So if a feeling of a choice arising, I'm usually somewhere else. I'm not enjoying it. So I don't know how to say, open myself to not choosing, because the choosing is like this, and the openness is not choosing anything. So it's like when I feel that I'm choosing, I try to open myself again. And what will happen will happen. And if it's rude, then it's rude. And only when we let ourselves to be unloving, I feel we can be really loving in other occasions. Because if we think that we have to be something, we will be we will not feel whole. We will feel that we will have an inner conflict. We will feel that we are not authentic to ourselves, because if we are really open, we can be anything.
Yeah, that's a big one. If we feel we have to be something, then we are feeling also that we have to not be anything other than that something. So it creates a sense of separation, exclusion, rejection, whatever. Yeah.
And usually those sensations that Jayan spoke about, I feel that as well. As I see it, those are the sensations of our inner, I don't know how to say, like nature rebelling, that we are not open enough. We are not letting it to flow freely. So it's rebelling in the throat, in the chest, in the stomach, and it's all feelings, usually anger, fear, which is the same energy. It can be anger, it can be fear, and it's one. So it's like the same energy that can express itself as anger or as fear. And we seem to have a choice to choose, but not really. Like flight or fight, like animals in nature.
Anything alive for you, Jeremy?
It's a thought that's been particularly sticky. Uh, Kate already mentioned it, but when Diane was talking about not wanting to disappoint or hurt others, and this notion of being authentic to yourself, um, I struggled with the notion of authentic to myself after I had started exploring all this awakening stuff. Because I was like, well, if I'm trying to see through myself, like, why would I want to be authentic to this thing that I am pursuing, uh, not giving as much uh, weight to, or like trying to disidentify from. Um, but also, I had struggled for years with um, being honest with others for fear of what might happen. And what what broke it for me was the thing that I wasn't telling other people was my judgments of them. And so I was afraid of if I shared my judgments, then there would be consequences. And I found that if I was sharing authentically my inner experience, that A was very easy for me to share in an honest way. And I had no fear about, like, if someone in my family had done something, like being able to say, I'm feeling this like pit of tension in my stomach right now, or like my arms are tensing up. That always, well, not always, but it became very easy to share those types of experiences um, in an authentic way. And so that's like being authentic turned into, oh, all I'm doing is sharing my inner experience. I'm not putting any blame or judgment on another person. I'm just saying, here is how my body is reacting to what's happening. Um, and it doesn't mean that I only share, oh, I've got like this, I've got some tension in my throat. Um, it could also be like I describing in ways, let's say that I'll give an example. Maybe my daughter was staying out late and didn't come home when my wife and I were hoping that she would be home by. Um, Instead of casting the judgment of like, you are wrong, you broke your commitment, you didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do. It's more of a um, when I woke up after midnight and realized you weren't home, like I I felt these sensations in my stomach, and I had some thoughts of being concerned for your safety. That's a very different uh, interaction with her than where were you? Why weren't you
Yeah.
home on time? And so I was still being, in a sense, I think I could argue that I was being more authentic because I was describing things um, that were um, like the sensations in my body were things that I had experienced, and the like everything that follows from that gets less and less real in a sense.
Mm.
Just the whole notion of like authenticity completely changed for me as I started to pay more attention to my experience, pay more attention to the thoughts that were arising instead of just getting a little bit of distance
Yeah.
between them, or between my like my awareness and the things that were arising in it.
So that's interesting, and I've done what you described and had the other person say, "Are you saying that I'm the reason that you had that feeling in your stomach?" So they still take it as me blaming or judging, and I'm just being tricky about the way I'm saying that kind of thing. So there's always that. I I wonder how the other person will take it. How do I put that? Because I mean, in a real life situation. So, for example, something happens, and I get triggered into a state of frustration or anger, and my wife is here, and I express that anger, and she thinks I'm talking about her, and I say to her, "No, no, I'm just telling you I feel frustrated and angry," and she's saying, "But I'm here, so you're putting it on me," and I'm saying, "No, I'm not." But she's not believing me. She's still taking it that I'm doing that kind of thing to her. So there is that. There is a. It's a tricky little situation to be able to do it in a way. I know where you're coming from. I know that that's a good thing you're saying. You're describing yourself. You're describing your experience. But the reason that you're describing it is because you're wanting to change her behavior, or you're wanting her to feel something, or you're wanting her to do something about it. You're wanting her to not do it again. Or are you open to it happening again or not? Is it, yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it used to be that I was manipulative, even doing this practice of like sharing how I was feeling. Um, I don't know if it's as much that anymore.
Mm.
I think I think I think I'm still there's still a sense of wanting something, but the thing that I want is more connection
Mm.
between myself and another person.
Yeah.
I I want them to know what my experience was. I guess you could still say that I want them to know that I was feeling these things because I want them to do something different. There's just less of a there's
It's
less of
not,
a sting to it.
not a direct accusation. You know, and
Yeah,
it's there's a significant element of love in doing it that way, isn't there?
yeah. I'd realized there was something that you said, I can't remember now, um, what that triggered this thought, and that is that I used to have a lot of fear that when I would quote unquote be authentic in that former version of authenticity where I was sharing my judgments of somebody, or judgments of their behavior, judgments of their thoughts, their words, um, that they would respond uh, by saying something like, "Oh no, you're wrong. That is not true." And I would feel that as this sort of like
Mm.
they felt that as an attack. I feel that as an attack back. Like we're disagreeing about things. Um, but telling somebody
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
got I've got some tension in my stomach,
Yep. Yep.
they might still have some sort of response that is challenging that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
I have no,
the
there's
reason
no
to do
inner thing
it.
that's like, oh, they might be right. Like, no, this, this is
Yeah.
what I experienced. And I
They
don't
can't
care if you
challenge what
disagree
you're
with me.
feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it felt much more safe to share from that like perspective, authenticity of
Mm.
what of even if, even if I'm sharing, it doesn't prevent me from sharing a judgment that occurred in my head. But because I've got a different relationship with my thoughts and the judgments that come up, I'm not like holding them so tightly
Yes.
where if somebody says that's a bad judgment, I might like, yeah, I could agree with that. You're right. It's not, it's not, I'm not so wound up in holding
Yeah.
on to them as mine. It's just that it's funny the other day um, at work, this just reminded me of it. Someone asked the question. Um, my team has a daily meeting, and we just ask questions to facilitate conversation and getting to know each other because we all work remotely. And the question was, if you could uh, read minds, or would you rather be able to read people's minds or see 5 minutes into the future? Um, I think I was the only one that chose read people's minds. And I said because I I give so much less respect to thoughts than I used to, and I know the thoughts that I have that I don't strongly identify with, and I know I know how my brain works, and I assume that other people's brains do the same thing, and everybody experiences these crazy thoughts because we're not the maker of the thoughts; they just happen. And so it's like I'm not. I mean, I'm sure that it would be a, an interesting experience to know what everybody is thinking, but I wouldn't take it personally anymore if somebody was
Oh.
having thoughts about me. Thought that was they thought I was crazy.
Yeah. So here's a question that occurred to me. Would you prefer to be able to read their thoughts or know what they're feeling?
Feeling.
This one is easy. The feeling of
Yeah. Because the thoughts could be a lie to themselves, couldn't it?
yeah.
But the
And this is
feelings.
actually an amazing way to relate to not listen to what people say, but to feel what they are feeling. And then you can respond to what they are really wanting to say, and not what they are saying to be polite or to be this or that. Because usually the uh, feeling ground is more inner, more real, and we are expressing it usually not so direct. So the conversation is strange in a way.
Yeah, that's a good one. See you, Tim. One of the things that came up for me a bit earlier that I thought might be valuable to talk about was that what you mentioned, Kate, about that joke about wives cleaning up things and then making it harder to find whatever. And what that reveals for me is that here what we're moving towards, perhaps quite unconsciously, is to be cognizant of the details underneath things a lot more so. So instead of taking things at surface value, what they mean, we're actually considering what's going on underneath that a lot more. And as we get more and more into the details, it becomes more objective and clearer as to what's going on. And that particular one was a really interesting one because it's loaded with implications. There's lots of things in that. And so I wonder what you reacted to, whether it was the mention of wives or that it was a cliche kind of joke about, well, it wasn't about wives. I mean, it's simply that the way I took it, and I can only really talk about the way I took it. And it's true here that my wife does go into my workshop and clean things up, and all of a sudden I can't find things anymore. I have to look harder to find them. And it's not a joke about wives, but it's the commonality of it that other people experience the same thing. And it just so happens that we're a husband and wife partnership. If, for example, we were a homosexual relationship and our partner was into cleaning up and did that, the same outcome would happen. So it's not really about wives, but it could be taken to be about wives. It's much more about one person cleaning up. And so, like, and it's there's a reality for me, and my workshop is a mess, but I know where things are in it, and when they're shifted, whether it be because of cleaning up or for any reason, when they're shifted, it means that I can't go straight to where they are. I have to look for it or whatever. So underneath the cliche of the joke about wives, it wasn't really about wives at all. It was about the shared experience of one person cleaning up somebody else's stuff, or at least cleaning up is the way that it's seen to be, and the consequence of the disturbance of the familiar is really what, and the fact that several people have experienced the same kind of thing. So do you get that what we're talking about now is the detail of it? We don't stop at the cliche about it's a joke about wives. It's not. It was more really a sharing of a common experience that when somebody disturbs our stuff, it's harder to find anything, and that others have experienced the same thing that I've experienced or their version of it. Yeah. And so that's just an example that underneath the surface layer, there's all these other details that go on that really we can appreciate. It's a similar thing with labels. Labels are a great way to describe things for the purpose of communicating, but it's very superficial all the time. Labels only touch the surface, and underneath them is a lot of detail. And the labels kind of can point to us and we can become aware of that detail. But if we stop at the label, that's probably all we need in a lot of cases for communication at a superficial level. You know, if I say, where's the such and such, that label's enough for the other person to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what I was saying was
Right.
it's that the details underneath the surface is where the action is. That's all I was saying. Yeah. Sorry, Jeremy.
I want to practice what I was preaching just a moment ago. I'm feeling my heart beating very strongly. Um, I've got like this weird tingly sort of tension in the front part of both of my arms. I think I'm worried that there's some tension or conflict right now between you, Vince, and Kate. My mind is telling me uh, that Vince is worried about alienating Kate, that this was a group of men and she was the only woman, and you're trying to protect the, I don't know, just like the respect that you want to have in this meeting. And my mind is telling me that Kate was thinking this is bullshit, that Vince is just trying to make an excuse for what happened, and that she was hurt because of the joke against women. I don't know whether any of that outside of the feelings that I've got in my body right now. I don't know whether any of that is true.
You could ask Kate.
Yeah, coming up.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And actually, it's really great that a man brings this up. Everything that Vince has just said is obviously true. You know, you turn over the stone and it's what's under the stone, which is important. But it's also true that there's a fair amount of free-floating misogyny in cliches. I mean, I think, you know, I doubt that any of you would argue about that. But no, I I you know it is a bit of a, I'm not talking about what happened here because actually I smiled, you know, internally when I caught into that conversation. I did smile, but it was slightly a smile of recognition, you know, because cliches land, don't they? But I didn't feel any antibodies. I really didn't feel any antibodies. And just now, when Vince turned over the stone to look at what was underneath, that was helpful for me, as I'm sure it would be helpful for all of us. I think quite a lot of what's happened today has been to do with the difficulties, the sort of challenges of coupledom, authenticity, relating to some people with bonds which are placed on us by expectations, and those are slightly different from the bonds that are placed on us by, by a group like this. We have some commonality. We're a tribe in a sense, but we don't know each other, and so it's fresher in a way. So that's pretty delightful, I have to say. So actually, cheers to Jeremy for bringing that up and having the tingling in his arms. That was nice for me.
Is it still there, Jeremy?
Not really. It's faded.
My response to that is I recognize that I have no idea about the other people that spoke of that, about the misogyny aspect of it, and I can't speak for them. There was certainly an element of truth about me wanting to apologize or diffuse or do something about that element of misogyny. But it was primarily the biggest part of it was that it was an opportunity to enliven the idea of depth of the details underneath. Turn the rock over, as Kate said. That's a big thing. We're doing that with everything. We're turning the rock over and looking at what's underneath. Is great value. You know, to stop at the surface level is not good. Oh, well, I shouldn't say not good, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
I like the honesty and the conversation, and I'm inspired to do something similar as Jeremy did. When I was speaking before, at some moment, someone in the meeting left, and I was stuttering, and the unworthiness inside me, it's like a sensation that I usually have on the left side, and it's like that I am. It's an idea that I am like I'm not in a position to speak the stuff that I spoke. Like I can be seen as a fraud or as like I don't really know and understand the things that I'm saying, and I'm stuttering. So like I don't really I don't know if I'm stuttering. I am not respectful, or I don't know. I am not. If I was really awakened and knew what I'm saying, the energy here would flow and I will not stutter. But if I'm stutter, I'm not good enough. Like, and stuff like this. And it's sensations here. And usually the spaciousness is available. So I just rest in that. But I have now in my lower back a sensation that I usually have, like when stuff arising. It's like a proxy of feelings here. No, I thought to share this here. And it's all connected. Like I feel those energies. It's the throat, it's here, and it's sometimes in the lower back. And it's all interesting, yeah. And I feel that those sensations and feelings, this is the dark night of the soul that is happening. It's all identity, yeah. I feel the unworthiness, and it's stuff from when I was 3 years old. It's not connected to the situation in any way. I see it, I understand it, but the physicality of it is alive. And the only thing that I can do is feel it, be present with it. And I have the spaciousness that I can rest in, and so it's not so intense as it was, like when it was not available to me. So
yeah, very good, very interesting. I have to say, I don't have to say, I want to say, I enjoy your stuttering.
Yeah, me too.
I literally feel good that you feel okay about it, that I imagine that you feel okay about it. It's great. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but because of those like sensations, but it's all connected. It's interesting. Like overall, I'm okay with that, but it's not so pleasant sometimes. Like there is an element of some kind of identity there that is yeah, connected to unworthiness and like stuff that I'm not good enough, like stuff like this. And it's not connected to anything. It's a childhood trauma that I explore more and more, and I don't know what will happen from here. It's all
Yeah. So do you imagine that this is going to sound crazy. Do you imagine that if you wake up more that you will stop stuttering?
If I'm honest, the reason, yes, I'm now deepening like all the exploration of the feelings and the sensations, and that I'm crying a lot in waves of like fear, intense fear sometimes that I feel in meditations and practices that I'm doing. And it's like, it's more, if I would ask myself, why am I exploring this, it's more to feel whole, like to feel that the what I am and the expression of this like physicality is one in a sense, because and it's a process. There is like I'm trying to if to call it seeking, it's not seeking for knowing something, it's realigning the feeling with the understanding, and I do see that the seeking element, it's not only seeking for awakening, it's seeking for anything. It's when everyone is silent, if someone have a feeling that he have to speak, it's a kind of seeking. Or if I see it and like everything in a way that is energy that wants to change something, it's a seeking. And I see that it all comes from feelings. Like we don't want to feel something inside of us. So we have thoughts, or we act or something or speak, but it's all avoiding feelings. And usually on the spirituality realm, it's like seeking enlightenment for avoiding feelings that we have. Like sometimes it's usually this is what people do, and then they see that it's not really so. It will not work until everything will rise and we will feel it. This is really enlightenment. It's just living as you are and not avoiding yourself. That's all. It's not.
So can it be that as you are includes the stuttering, and there is
Yes.
total acceptance of that?
Yes, of course it is. Yes, but there is the seeing of that, but still, like when I wake up and go to work, I'm choosing clothes. Yes, so and I choose the ones that I prefer. Yeah? It happens automatically. So as the emotional states is also, they're all okay, but there is states and sensations that are more comfortable and less comfortable. So enlightened, it's not like to always go and feel not good. We usually feel want to feel good as we can, but it's not a necessity.
Yeah,
it's
a preference there.
Yes. So, and I do feel that with time, I feel better inside the physicality, but and sometimes it's intense, like it's changing, but I do find it interesting to explore it, and I don't have other things more interesting for me to do, so this is what I'm doing. But if someone from what I was speaking right now, if someone sees any elements that I would like, if someone have a feedback that can be valuable for me, yeah, if I'm not seeing something, I will be, yeah, like really glad to hear, because I feel that right now there is some tension inside of me. So, you know,
Yep.
maybe I'm not seeing everything so clear.
Yeah. If somebody feels uncomfortable because of it, that's valuable for them to talk about, to bring it up, to discuss, to explore. I can remember years ago, and I don't even remember who it was now, but somebody stuttered, and other people would finish. Other people would say the word that they were trying to say, and I found that really annoying. Instead of allowing it to have its own course, to finish whatever. But yeah. But I feel that you feel comfortable about it, and that then I feel comfortable about it. I think that's partly why I feel comfortable, because you are. Yeah, it's great. Mm.
When I when I hear Anton speaking, I'm amazed. I can't explain that feeling. It's not the stuttering or the words or anything of that sort. It's something that I cannot explain. And stuttering or usage of words or pronunciation, accent, none of those things matter in that context. That's how I feel. And I I got so much of disappointment in my life for decades because I had the expectation that others should listen to me, others should understand me, they should agree with me, they should be pleased with me, and they should uphold the image I have of myself. They should validate me. Um, and there was a point in time where I paid attention and noticed as to what is really happening. So I discovered that what I'm hearing is my experience. What I'm seeing is my experience. What I'm sensing is my experience. What I am seeing is also my experience. Where is the other who is bothering me? I just couldn't find it. So at that time, I was carrying a lot of guilt and blame in my life, and I I was not in a very good shape at that time. But when I noticed this, I kind of felt it doesn't make any sense to feel this way. That the trouble is outside of me. No, it can't be because I can't find it. So if is the trouble is the problem within me, then it's all me. How can I separate this thing and call it a name? That's trouble. Yes, I feel uncomfortable. It's unpleasant. Life doesn't meet my expectations. But where is the other? Where is me? Where is the cause? I just couldn't find it. So I also have these inferiority feelings about many things. Most of it I don't even know where it came from. my color, my English accent, my lack of vocabulary, all sorts of things. But then when I closely examine it, I find it's all in me. So after that point, blame didn't make any sense to me. There were instances where people just screamed in my face that you are this or you are that. And yes, I felt very bad. I felt all sorts of things, but I couldn't blame.
Mm.
And it, it doesn't mean that I got somewhere, but in my direct experience, when I look, I can't I can't find, I don't have an option to blame or feel guilty or feel inferior. Or those thoughts definitely come up. Those feelings and sensations are there. But it has changed a bit.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that. So could you extrapolate that to where everything, other people and the whole world is you, is your experience, is experiencing that you are experiencing.
I can say that it's experiencing. That's all that there is,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there is no way to mm, tear it apart and pick pieces. That's what thoughts do. Thoughts are not capable of doing it, but they do it.
Yeah.
They feel as if they know what is this or that, but there is no way thoughts can label and know and define things.
Mm.
So all I can say is that it's experiencing this moment.
Yep. Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
It's
Yeah, but
everything.
it's not a special experience. Like Anton said, I these thoughts come up that how dare you say that? You are not wake. You haven't had any special experience that people talk about, like your body disappearing, or I haven't had any such experience. And how dare you say these things or acknowledge these things? Those thoughts come up too. So I don't know whether it's right, wrong. I have no clue, no idea.
Good stuff. Yeah.
In the end, I think that everyone who is speaking about the reality is a fraud because no one can speak this. It's unspeakable. So from this perspective, it's true. I am a fraud.
How about you, Ray? Are you a fraud?
Um, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I almost would have gone the other way with that, where, anybody who's speaking about their direct experience about what's happening for them right now is, I don't know. There can't be anything wrong with that, right? I mean, the speaking part of it is the fraudulent part because you're
Yes.
trying to communicate something that is, with words that's not, it's
Possible.
not capturable. Yeah, it's not capturable by words, but when you're speaking about what's happening for you right in the moment, then like you can't be wrong about it, you know? That's that's the truth for whatever your experience is. So everyone's a fraud, and everyone's also right, which is weird, which is a weird sort of paradox, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I feel about it, I guess. You know?
I would even go as far as to say that even my own experience, there's only a superficial interpretation of that is as close as I can get to what is actual.
Mm.
there's a there's a whole range of my experience that I just don't know about, or I don't go into the depth of it. So I really hesitate to use words like reality or truth. I only have my own interpretation of it. And of course, that's conditioned.
Hmm.
There is you I, it's undescribable, and from the logical standpoint, it's impossible as well. But in a magic way, we can experience this.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Like it's one, so no one can experiencing it, and still somehow it's like, and it's probably still an experience. So it's not the real thing, but it's obvious, but obvious that there is nothing but this unexplainable.
Hmm.
Just laughed. I had the thought of that saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Like
Whoa.
just thinking about the how many words it would take to describe just 1 second of full experience of all your senses.
Hmm.
And you see how impossible of a task it is to try to describe it.
So what's alive for you, Ray?
Oh, I don't know. It's I'm feeling, I think, a little bit stuck lately. Um, yeah, I sort of been having a difficult time sleeping, and so I sort of turned the meeting on and was dozing in and out, and now I'm up and moving, and I'll probably go to the gym in a little bit. Um, but what's alive for me? Uh, a bit of loneliness, I think, a bit of you know, feelings of inadequacy. Um, yeah, thoughts, thoughts that are sticky, and a feeling of lack. I don't know. It's pretty much the same stuff.
Let's just look at it a little bit. You said feelings of loneliness. That's I'm really interested in that one. It's because it's a phew, it's it's a big one in a lot of ways, you know. So when you say feelings of loneliness, are they feelings of loneliness or thoughts of loneliness?
Mostly thoughts, I would say. I mean, that's kind of how they manifest. Um, I'm still very much up in my head a lot of the time. So,
So what do these
uh,
thoughts of loneliness say?
I mean, essentially, it's just like I'm not okay by myself. It's a feeling of lack, or it's mostly a thought of something that's, I'm not okay by myself. Like I'm not enough just to be by myself. Like I want somebody around to like comfort me or soothe me or, something like that. And
So just stop, just
yeah.
a moment. So that's interesting. So if you're not enough by yourself, have the fantasy of somebody else, some perfect other person, what what are they going how are they going to convince you that you are enough? And is it just their presence that will change that feeling, or is it some behavior that will change that feeling?
I'm not really sure.
Will they make
What
you feel
comes,
adequate?
well, what comes to mind for me is, almost the feeling of if somebody wants to be around me, then it kind of validates me.
Oh,
Like
yeah. So there's a logical conclusion that if they love you, you must be worthy. You must be
right,
adequate. Right.
something like that, and also just I think the hope that another person is more capable than I am, and to some extent will, take care of me in some way that I'm not able to myself. I don't know. It's a bit of a jumble.
Right, right, right. So does that mean you should marry your mother?
No, definitely not. I think the sort of how I interpret it is maybe there's a longing for being cared for in a parental way that maybe I didn't get when I was growing up. But
Mm.
that's just a story, and there's not much to be done about it now. But it's just
But maybe
something that's,
is,
yeah.
is there a way now and in overall in your life that you could care uh, for yourself more than you do? Maybe in the way you are thinking, you're speaking to yourself when you're eating or in something that you're doing,
Mm,
like to be kind towards yourself.
I think I don't feel capable of that. It's it's this doubt, this self-doubt that I have where I don't think that I'm even capable of taking care of myself in a meaningful way. Um, there's not a lot there's not a lot of self-acceptance, I think, in this moment, which is probably something that contributes to this feeling of loneliness, of inadequacy, being by myself. Um, and it's uncomfortable for sure, but you know, it's something
Yeah.
I'm trying to investigate.
Yeah. If you told yourself you were okay, you were adequate, would a thought jump up and scream out that you're lying to yourself?
I don't think so. I mean, it would probably be more insidious than that. I feel like at times I'm fighting thoughts with thoughts, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a feeling of like, or a thought would come up like, you're not good enough, you're whatever.
Yeah.
And then I would call upon another thought that would just be like, well, I'm sitting in this chair, like I'm feeling my sensations. I'm not under direct physical threat right now. Like there's nothing right now in this moment that tells me I'm not enough. But that's, it's almost like a thought justification. And then, it'll make me feel better for a few seconds or a few minutes. And then another thought will come up that will say, you're not good enough. Like one thing or another, work, family, just general, you know, life ability. And that's kind of the cycle that I've been stuck in.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I frequently talk about how we feel that our thoughts are more special, more valid than other people's thoughts. But in your case, you're almost sounding like you're saying if somebody else said it, it would be more valid than you saying it to yourself. If somebody else said you're okay, that would have more credibility than you saying you're okay. Is that true?
I don't think so. The the sense I have is that me saying that I'm not okay is going to be more convincing than somebody else telling me that I am okay.
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
right. And my ability to tell myself that I'm okay is just
Yeah.
not believable to me, you know? I'm just convinced that I'm not okay. It's a belief.
And what if when the fact that you are not okay or something is not okay, no, it can be some kind of a fact. It's not have to be this is not okay. You understand? Yeah. When you have a fact that is we may call negative, yeah. That something is not okay. What if to that fact you will say you are enough, you are okay as you are, because it's a loop that the only way that you can really reloop it is to be okay right now with the path that you're having right now. You cannot
Yeah.
fight it. So,
Right.
and if it's all around not enough, maybe like a mantra, even, or like to every negative sensation or thought, yeah, to say you are enough as you are, or I love you, I accept you, or it's okay that you are here. Yeah, because usually we resisting resistance, and it's endless loop, and the only way it's to accept I'm resisting, and you you even can sometimes say, oh, resistance comes, great, good, this is what I want. This resistance is, yeah, like this is what I waited for. There are many tricks that you can use, but in those like situations, I think it can be really helpful. Not trying to obliterate like yourself to some really spiritual, or it's like loving your experience, and if it's not good, then loving it as it is. It's not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I feel I have to be reminded of from time to time because it's so automatic for me to have this
And look,
resistance towards,
and
yeah,
now when you think the stuff that you are said now is the fact that I'm not enough, so I need to be reminded of this. So
yeah,
good, another thought of I'm not enough, I love you, it's
hmm,
okay that you're here, like,
yeah,
but but you have to see it in order to for the acceptance to happen. You have to at least like see it, stop for a moment and see the, what you have here right now as a thought, as a sensation, and then you can love it. And love it is not something that we have to do, but you can use words. You are enough, I love you, I see you, I accept you, I'm sorry is very good. Like, I'm sorry that you are feeling so lonely. Yeah. You have a sensation of loneliness. I'm sorry that you are feeling that way. I love you. I'm with you. You are not lonely right now. I'm with you. Right? This kind of speaking with yourself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You could even go, the thought turns up that you're inadequate, as an example. And instead of saying, I want to reach a point where those thoughts don't happen, you could say, I know you're trying to look after me, thought. Thank you for that intention.
Mm.
So instead of trying to say, instead of imagining that you're going to get to a point where those thoughts don't occur, if they occur, they're there and you accept them, but you accept the intention of it rather than what it talks about. Because it's a child thought. It's simplistic. It doesn't really, right? So, but its intention is to look after you. Its intention is good. And so you appreciate the fact that it's there. We're not worried about what it's saying. We're just appreciating the fact that it happened. Thank you, thought. And that way we're not fighting what's there. We're just looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah. Hmm.
And when that happens, over time, those thoughts will stop appearing. But that's a story at the moment, but that's it. They're there because they're trying to look after you. And when you thank them, they go, oh, I did my job. I'm looking after him. And then they can
Yes,
stop
yes.
the case. Yeah.
And then they will have like the feeling that there is something good like for you. And then you will have that feeling more and more that it is something good. I am good. Like really simple. It's really simple.
All right. Try it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't try it, do it.
All right. I'll do it.
Uh,
Okay. Well, I should probably get going, but I appreciate you guys, and yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
yeah. Good to see you.
Bye, thank you.
Good to see y'all. Thank you.
Oh, it's 26 minutes past midnight here, so I think I'll head off to bed. Yeah. But it's been good.
Thank you all.
A great meeting. Yes. Thank you.
Bye, it was nice meeting you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. No worries. Thank you.